Hello and welcome to another edition of Happenings in the Dearborn Public Schools. You know, we are right here in Dearborn, hometown of Henry Ford. Henry Ford was known for being an innovator. And that's exactly the kinds of things that we have going on here in the Dearborn Public Schools. A lot of innovative programs, a lot of innovative people. And today we're going to talk about those exact things, some innovative programs with some innovative people. And joining me, as always, Superintendent Dr. Maleyko. Glenn, how are you doing today?
Good, doing very well. Glad to be here and glad for the start of the Wings, actually surprising that they actually came out pretty strong early. I didn't really have a great expectation. Even though my buddy Isaiah thinks they're going to the Stanley Cup, I'm being a little more realistic. Having said that, I am excited too. I'm going to be taking my family soon to a game. It's a surprise for my daughter's birthday,
Okay.
So hopefully she's not watching the
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
Yeah, so.
Right, yeah. We'll make sure Eric airs it after
Yes,
her birthday.
all right.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Appreciate you hooking me up like that.
Please introduce who's joining us today. I mean, Danene's a regular.
Yes,
she's going to get a jacket, like on Saturday Night Live, when you host the show for 5 times. You get a jacket. Okay. Danene, we're going to have to get you a special jacket because I think you've made at least your 5th appearance.
I'll accept it. It has to be a vibrant color, though.
Okay, absolutely.
Pink, red.
Definitely.
Okay.
So Ms. Danene Charles, coordinator of Affective Education, is involved in multiple programs in the district's been doing a fantastic job. We're probably going to have her back actually next month. Just so you know, we have a drug prevention model that we want to talk about. But here today we're talking about community and schools. So we're also here with Baiz from the Community and Schools group, and I want to start with Ms. Charles and just kind of mention what is this model that we're implementing, and it is a pilot level.
Sure. Yeah, what we're implementing is a national program that is really helping us to add an additional layer of support for our schools. And what they really look at, it's a 3-tiered system. So the first tier is looking at what are the school-wide services that can be provided for students. Then the second tier really focuses on the targeted program. So are there students that need something specifically done, and we really need to look at a targeted program? And then the third tier would be that individual support that we need to provide for students. So that's what communities and schools really is all about, and bringing the community to the school so that everything the students need and what the families need, it's right there in the school.
So it can be a lot of social, right? Maybe health things, or would those be some of the areas?
Absolutely.
Or,
it could be health, it
counseling.
could be academic, it could be whether it's mental health or just physical health. Whatever the student may need, it could be eyeglasses or dental care. Already, Mr. Baiz has been everywhere. I went to one of the meetings Access was giving, and he was there. I walk in and his smiling face is there. He got there before I was there. Then I went to another meeting for Healthy Dearborn, and who walks in? Mr. Baiz. So although he's only been here, I think, for maybe less than a month, he's already out in the community and bringing that to the schools, and that's what we want.
So, Abe, what is your, you've been here for a little while now, and, first of all, what is your role and how is it going for you?
It's going pretty good. Our goal as communities and schools is to help reduce dropout rates, and we want to increase graduation rates. So that's our main focus. Right now we're in the beginning stages, so right now what we're doing is assessment needs for both schools, Edsel Ford and Smith Middle School. And what I'm doing right now is just talking to teachers, talking to the students, parents, staff. And I actually just got the results from the first survey that we handed out to both the staff and the schools and the parents, and we're really excited about the responses that we got. That was actually something that everybody was worried about, was the response that we're going to get from the surveys, so we're really happy with that. And so our next step is to start planning. So as soon as we get the results from the surveys, I'm going to sit down with my team that I formed at each individual school and just kind of go through what our plan of attack is to help with those situations.
And what does the survey entail? What is it?
Basically what it says is we want to know what the students or the parents, what are the challenges that they're facing. So it could be, lack of support at home, at school. Maybe they're not getting enough resources, and it doesn't have to be academic, non-academic, so food, shelter, just basic needs that are getting in the way of their education.
And David, I just wanted to mention too, we had an episode we taped with the union cooperation, and actually this stemmed out of the union cooperation. I happened to, as Ms. Charles knows, I went to the National Superintendent's Conference last year and the National School Board, and they're both promoting this model. So this is a national model. And the way it came actually to my desk to look into it, and I called Ms. Charles, was when Chris Sipperly from the DFT and David Hecker, the president of the Michigan Federation of Teachers, came and approached and said we'd be interested in sitting down and collaborating on a model. So again, we sat down with them, collaborated, and then Danene, I think you kind of took over once we decided that we were going to pilot it in a few schools. Yeah. And I think if it's successful, aren't we, Ms. Charles, looking at possibly further expansion?
Yeah, we'd like to expand. And basically, we really worked the entire summer because we really wanted to get the right person for the positions, because we know that people make programs work. So it wasn't anything that we rushed. We really took our time and finding the right person and going through the interview process to make for certain that we could have a Mr. Baiz with us in our community. So it was a very rigorous.
My pleasure, of course.
Thank you.
How do you like your interaction? How is it going with the students in your interaction, developing relationships and those sort of things, or the families?
It's going great, and that's because of my background. I'm really forming a relationship, a bond. I'm into sports, and so are they. So, and just forming, bonds like that can really get to some of these students. And I just share my experiences that I went through in middle school and in high school, and try to relate as much as possible. And that really goes a long way and helps with these students, because once they feel comfortable, they will open up to you, and that's when you get the most out of them.
Well, I find it very interesting that, we think of schools and we just think of the academic parts. And if we want kids to be successful graduates, we just better make sure that we're pounding the academics into them, and they better make sure they're doing their schoolwork. But it really is a bigger picture. There really is so much more to making sure that students are successful. And some people may agree or disagree with that model, but that is the reality of what schools are. We not only provide that academics and the rigor and all of those things in the classroom, but we do have to partner with programs and such as this to provide those services so we can educate the whole student, and we can make sure that student has all of those supports in place. And that sounds like exactly what you're doing to bring about that success.
Right, and just figuring out what's going on in the schools and what are their major needs. I can touch on one of the needs, which is, I see obviously, and that's cultural differences. I know Smith and Edsel are some of the most diverse schools. I don't know if not in the district, but in the whole state of Michigan. So just spreading that awareness and using that for our advantage, making that a positive, that'll really contribute to.
I love hearing you say that. We get calls from media a lot, media from around the country, and they always will ask me, I'd really like to get over to Fortson. I want to see a diverse school in Dearborn. Can I get to Fortson? And believe me, Fortson is a great school. I'm not knocking Fortson or Dearborn High or anything like that, but I always tell them, if you really want to get into a diverse school, let me take you over to Edsel Ford. Let me take you over to Smith.
Yes.
Let me take you over to Gear Park or one of these schools. And I think people miss that, and I'm so glad that you bring that point up.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
I appreciate too, you mentioned about relationships, and I know that's our model, our school resource officers. They're in the schools developing relationships with students, with parents. I think that's critical, because then you build a trust. One of the things that I've done is, and David knows, is the students like to get the selfie photos. So you might want to try that. Okay. And actually, since Dr. Swiden works at Edsel and Smith, and it's a strategy she loves to implement too, so you might want to talk to her.
I will, definitely.
And just find out the student. Yeah. When you agree,
I concur 100%.
And we'll make sure we give a highlight of Dr. Swiden. She's a big advocate. In fact, I just recently had her on my blog with a couple of selfies and pictures.
So Abe, I know you have a partner here who helps out and works at one of the other schools.
Yes.
So we're going to just take a brief time out here, and we're going to bring in your cohort and have him talk a little little bit about some of the schools that he's working in.
Sounds
as well.
great.
All right.
It was a pleasure.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and welcome back to Happenings in the Dearborn Public Schools. Today we're talking about communities in schools, a program, innovative program that we have piloted this year. And a couple of gentlemen who are involved in the program are on the show with us today. And joining us now is the better half, because he's the state fan, is Ali Mashhour. And Ali, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Ali, can you explain your role through the communities and schools, and which school are you working in?
I'm at Snow Elementary School. I do a multitude of things inside the classroom, where I push in with kids who are struggling academically, and then I'll have kids come to my office if they're having a bad day, or if they just need to talk to somebody. You know, just because you see a kid who's getting A+s across the board doesn't mean that they're necessarily living that perfect life. Sometimes they need somebody to talk to. And that's where my door is always open. You know, and I tell them, listen, if the light is off, that means I'm not there. But if the light is on, come on in, because I'm there and you can always come in and talk. You know, I have kids knock on my door. I'll be in a meeting with a parent and they'll be like, hey, can I just come in and talk? Tell them, give me a minute and I'll be out to talk to you. So we do a lot of things, whether it's behavior, whether it's attendance, whether it's coursework. We're there to help them as much as we possibly can.
So now you're, into 2 months now, almost 2 months? So?
Just about 2 months, yeah. Today we actually brought in 4 boxes of books into our book room. You know, mostly new, some used, because of the Read at Home program that we launched across the district. So we're trying to set up good fit books for all the kids, you know, which is really important for them to read at home. So that's something Communities in School helps with, and we helped with supplies at Snow. So I mean, I'm excited for everything that we bring to the school.
And with this national affiliation, my understanding is there's training, and Ms. Charles, feel free to join in too, but you know, my understanding, you're going to be going for some training, and you go on a routine basis, and they provide that support?
Yeah, it's in Lansing, our training. We did a couple days in August.
Okay.
We do training in Troy at the Michigan State campus. As you can see, I was very happy to go there. I had no issue going there.
We'll
And
get
then,
them to see if they can, you know, Ann Arbor is also.
Oh, no, it's okay. We don't have to head all the way out there. And then we actually have training in a couple weeks in Lansing again. We have like a retreat where we're going to do training. So I'm excited. You know, I keep learning more, and obviously I'm able to implement it into the school.
Now, Ms. Charles, what do you think when we go for this community and schools model, what are some challenges maybe that we face, or some areas that you think that this model can help, you know, moving forward?
I think some of the things that they've already brought up in terms of making sure that families have what they need and bringing in additional services, the challenge really is just the coordination.
Okay.
And this is our first time. It is a pilot. So we would hope that we can really work together. And I can tell you that so far, it's been very successful. When you talk about it taking a village to make something work, it's like the Dearborn Public Schools village and the Communities and Schools village. We have come together. We have Sonia Allen from Community and Schools, Tiffany Sparks, all of them. I feel like they are a part of our family. I can call whatever is going on. We can talk. We bounce things off of one another. And I just think that because of your leadership, I have learned how to reach out to others and to really make that work, sort of what you were talking about with the DFT, and just making all of those entities work together. And we've been able to do that with community and school. So I think just time, being able to coordinate, and just have the discussions and make it work.
Well, I appreciate you taking the leadership on that, because when the model came forward, there was a lot of work over the summer, and it came together pretty quickly. I know we also made sure that we posted this. We wanted people so that people could apply from within the community as well, and you did a great job working with Human Resources and posting it all over, and there were interviews, and it was a process to go through as we were trying to finalize contracts and other things like that. So again, I appreciate, you know, the lead you've taken, and I'm excited. And then, you know, when you talk about there's other aspects, I would imagine then that you have a lot of interaction with the teachers, other staff.
The staff at Snow is outstanding. Okay. Everybody's willing to help. Everybody's willing to, because it's my first year. So there's a huge learning curve. I mean, and I have a lot of teachers out there who are willing to help me with any program that I want to try. obviously we have programs, nonprofit organizations in the community already that are willing to help with the schools. So I try and get in touch with them to try to implement programs to help kids, that are less fortunate or that need that assistance, whether it be a coat, whether it be, help with school, advice. I mean, some of these kids come in and they're like, well, I don't have like a male figure in my life, so can I just talk to you? And sometimes you need to do that. You need to take that time and kind of, put that hat on of just being a leader for them. We have the Leader in Me program, obviously, that's doing great in the school. So.
Well, and I could say too, this is a pilot, so it just started.
Right.
And we talked about, well, should we come and tape it now, even though we're a couple months in? We said yes, we want to promote it so people are aware in the community, but we're hoping that it's a successful model that we can, expand into other schools moving forward, once we evaluate, and so.
And Dr. Maleyko, just to add to that, the principals are very pleased with what's happening with the coordinators. Principal Cadre, Case Vote, and Jabril have spoken very highly of the work that they're doing. And it's been less than 2 months. So when you start out and it's strong and positive, we only hope that it would get better over time.
Excellent.
And again, I think it's important to just emphasize that, these students come to us with a lot of different needs, whether it be academic or social and what have you. And to have these kinds of programs in our schools to help support that student, that also allows the teacher then to concentrate their efforts on the academic part of it. And so I think that goes hand in hand in building that overall success of the student and respecting the teachers for what we're hiring them to do, to teach. And, teachers, it's in their heart and they're going to always be there for the students. Let's not make any mistake about that. But I'm just saying that, with all the demands that are placed on our teachers, and it's good that they have support systems in the schools. And I think that, Glenn, it's not only programs like this, but, a multitude of programs that we have in our schools that provide that support so teachers can teach, and we can also help the social needs of our students as well.
Absolutely.
Denene, thank you for being here.
Thank
I guess
you.
you are coming back
Thank you.
again next month.
Whenever the superintendent
soon,
says.
the next
Yeah, okay.
And and I think we'll have Dr. Bazzi Gates with you when we do, whether
Yes.
probably next month.
would be great.
Yeah.
Great. Ollie, thanks. Go
Thank
Green.
you. I agree.
And I am going to a game soon with my son.
All right, okay, well,
I've
there
never
you
been
go.
to see a game in East Lansing,
Okay.
so my son and I are looking forward to that.
All right. Well, no burning couches when you're there. All right. No burning couches.
I don't know where that came from, but
Just an old stereotype. I threw that in for the Michigan guy, just to, so
okay.
that's a little jab at us
Gotcha. All right,
state
all right.
people. So anyway.
What is
But,
that saying? The little brother or something?
Oh,
yeah.
man! You want to go there with that?
No,
don't go
I'm
there.
not. I like both teams, so.
Well, as I said before, my daughter actually goes to U of M. So,
Oh, okay.
so I'm kind of caught in the middle with all of this. It's all fun.
Yeah.
It's all fun. And we are done having fun on this edition of Happenings in the Dearborn Public Schools. Remember, we're on Channel 19 on your cable system, Comcast, and 15 on WOW. But best of all, you can watch us anytime you want, anytime at all. Just click on the Dearborn Public Schools YouTube channel, and you can find all of these shows, all 30-some that we've done so far. And they're a lot of fun, and they're a great time to watch. And it's because we do these shows because there is so much happening in the Dearborn Public Schools.